Hi, this is Kirk Hammett, and I'm here to talk about my new book, Too Much Horror Business, and my vast collection of horror memorabilia. We're here at my crypt with a bunch of my favorite stuff all around us. I'm here to go into all the gory details that went into creating this book and putting it all together. I first got into all this stuff when I was 6 years old. Day of the Triffids being the first horror movie that I ever saw. Check it out, it's a good one. I started buying horror comic books, horror magazines, monster magazines, just anything that had anything to do with monsters and horror movies. You know, that was the beginning of my my collecting obsession, and as you can see, it never truly went away. On television back then, there were these TV shows that had these horror hosts here in the San Francisco Bay Area. The show was called Creature Features, and the horror host was called Bob Wilkins, and it was on every Saturday night at 9:00 p.m. And this is where I saw all the classics. I saw Frankenstein, Dracula, The Mummy, Phantom of the Opera. I mean, it was cathartic for me because, you know, ever since I could remember, I've always had feelings of being a bit on the fringe, you know, a bit of an outcast. I always felt like I never really quite fit in with a lot of things. And so when I watched monster movies, it was really easy for me to be able to relate to the monsters and really just kind of feel like one of them. Making this book took me the better part of 3 years. As I was putting all this together, I was scrambling and making notes and drawing all over everything and making illustrations of how I wanted things to go here and there. After a while, it became a real production. I had a whole staff of people helping me. Some of it was damaged, some of it the paint was chipped, some of it was just falling apart. I had some just amazing effects guys come up and basically repair a lot of the masks and toys. Though I did spend a lot of time at the kitchen table with a tube of crazy glue putting together stuff that's just falling apart. It was pretty insane because my house was overrun by this stuff. Not like it isn't now. My most favorite pieces in this collection are two pieces. One of them is the outfit that Boris Karloff wore in The Black Cat, and the other one's the outfit that Bela Lugosi wore in White Zombie. And when I got these pieces, I thought, how am I going to display them? And so I remember reading about this sculptor called Mike Hill, and what I did was I had him sculpt Boris Karloff as the character he played in the Black Cat, and also sculpt Bela Lugosi as the character Murder Legendar that he plays in White Zombie. And the cool thing about the Bela Lugosi figure is that Bela Lugosi's hands on the figure are molded from Bela Lugosi Jr.'s actual hands. Mike Hill actually knows Bela Lugosi Jr. and had him come over to his house. And Mike actually molded his hands. Hey Mark, I need a hand. Not that one. The funny thing is, you know, the figures are here in the house. I like to come down here with my guitar and just play and just stare at everything. I have been scared in this house before, yes, actually numerous times. Some of it has nothing to do with all this stuff. I mean, come on, look around. I mean, how can you not get spooked now and then? That guy right there is the worst. My figure right there is the scariest figure in this whole place. Nosferatu's pretty scary too. I mean, especially after I've had a long night, I come back here and come downstairs. Sometimes I feel like he looks. horror movies that are both scary and funny at the same time are some of my favorite types of horror movies. And so that's kind of how the idea of Kirk Von Hammett came around. And that's my alter ego, that's my other personality. If there's like, you know, a movie poster or a piece of artwork or something that I actually wanted to be or tried to be, it would have to be that painting of Lon Chaney Sr. in a movie called London After Midnight. That's what I'm trying to get with my Kirk Von Hammett persona. It's really important for me to really just come across as being a part of the collection rather than the collection just being in a book. Sitting there in the midst of all my stuff on that couch, I mean, that is my tribute to some of the horror hosts that I grew up with when I was a kid, particularly Bob Wilkins, who's not around anymore. Making these personality shots, these set shots, gave me a chance to indulge in all my my little horror fantasies. You know, dressing up as Herbert West, Reanimator, with the Reanimator head was just so much fun. And then I brought out my collection of skulls, some real, some not real, and we piled it all around the skull throne, and then just pumped a bunch of dry ice onto the set. And I sat there with my Donnie Darko mask on, and that's a perfect example of my inner monster nerd just being released. This is my subconscious. I turn into that after a few lemonades. That's why I don't drink lemonade till tonight. Ciao. I sleep in it. The one part of my collection that I'm most passionate about are the movie posters. They're not only the rarest pieces that I have, but they're the most beautiful pieces, you know, in my opinion. Particularly the posters that were made in the 30s. They were made using a style called stone litho. It was a printing style where they would actually carve out the images on stone and slather color on it and then print it onto the paper. It's a lost art. But the results of that were just these beautiful images. And back then, I mean, horror movie posters, they were made very individually. There was no formula to them. So I mean, a movie poster for, like, for instance, say Dracula had as much color and romanticism and drama as maybe a romance movie from the same era. Another thing that I was very adamant about was taking a picture with my Mummy guitar on next to my Mummy 3 sheet, which is like over 6 feet tall. Particularly because I wanted to give people some sort of perspective of scale on how big that poster actually is. It's a fantastic guitar. One of my favorite guitars. This is the one I hardly ever play in public. Reason being, it has all these hieroglyphics and it's confusing for me to figure out where I am because of all these graphics. Just for the record, this says, "We can all get together, brothers and sisters." So, you know, being in Metallica has been great. It's been very instrumental in giving me an opportunity to be able to track this stuff down and to continue collecting. But I have to say, you know, it's not because of the band that I'm into this stuff. I mean, I've been into this stuff ever since I can remember, and the book has been a great opportunity for me to amass and organize all this stuff and present it to all the other horror nerds out there as my gift to them. But you know, I really have nothing else to say about that other than this is my opportunity to share it with all you people out there all over the world, and I really hope that you enjoy it as much as I do. Is that kind of weird or what? I don't know what it is, what the hold this stuff has on me, but you know, I feel such a deep emotional attachment, and I have such a sentimental connection with all this stuff. I mean, it simultaneously comforts me, it inspires me, it grounds me. I mean, as much energy as I put into all this stuff, the energy comes back out of it toward me, and it moves me. And you know, sometimes I think, am I collecting this stuff, or is this stuff collecting me? All right, I can get out of this monkey suit. Get out of that monkey suit.